Hello everyone and welcome to IELTS with Gaby. I'm Gaby Monteiro, the creator of the SBN method for the IELTS exam. Welcome to another class. Today we're going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes when studying for the IELTS test, okay? Before we even start, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet and click on the bell so you get all the notifications on, okay? And let's begin with the first ever mistake when you're studying for the IELTS exam, which is translating. You cannot translate. That's the worst thing you can do when studying, because that means it's gonna get confusing. The exam is in English. You use English to do the exam, and then you're thinking about it in your mother language, I don't know, in Portuguese, Spanish, whatever it is. That means that you're gonna lose some information on translation, so things will actually get lost in translation while you're studying. And it's just gonna make it harder for the process to become natural for you when doing the exam. So what should you do instead of translating? You should immerse yourself in the language, in English in this case, if you're studying for the IELTS exam. So turn your cell phone, everything on your cell phone, to English. Put everything in English, the entire language. That means that every day when you look at your phone and you want to see what day of the week it is, it's going to be in English. You want to use the settings, or you want to use anything in your cell phone, even on WhatsApp, when someone is going to be writing something to you, it's gonna appear someone is typing instead of what it was in your original language. And those very small details are actually gonna help you improve every day without you realizing. New vocabulary for very natural daily things you're gonna use, and you're gonna also use those when you move for your life abroad to your chosen country. So that's really good. Also, whenever you have to Google something, you don't know the meaning of a word, or you need to understand a better expression or see the correct spelling of something, do it in an English dictionary. Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, Merriam-Webster, any English dictionary, because it's not only gonna give you the definition in English, which is the language you're processing it all. It will also give you the pronunciation of the word and synonyms for them. So you can learn a lot more about a certain word if you go to an English dictionary instead of just translating it to your mother language. Consume films, series, songs, interviews, everything in English. If you're doing the entire process for an English test, you need to do the entire process already in that language. Many people say that you need to start thinking in English, and that happens, that is true, but it only happens after you immerse yourself in the language. It's not like you're gonna say, I'm gonna think in English now. That's not how it happens. You need to actually work towards it. So you're not just gonna randomly start thinking in English. You're gonna think in English because everything you'll be working with is in English. So you're immersed in that language, and naturally your brain is going to process things in that language as well. So I'm Brazilian, thus I speak Portuguese as my mother language, and I live in England. And many of my friends already ask me, what language do I think of? Like, do I think things in Portuguese? Do I think things in English? And it really depends on what task am I doing. If I'm writing my dissertation thesis, which is in English, I'm thinking in English. But if I'm talking to my family in Portuguese, I'm going to be thinking in Portuguese. It's all about the language you're immersed with, and it's not something that's gonna just appear. You're gonna sleep it, the next day you have it. It's something you have to work towards, so you actually need to practice it to make it natural. When you immerse yourself in the language, you're gonna get loads and loads and loads of vocabulary for things that you would naturally just say the natural translation from your language to English. You might learn there's an actual idiom that says the same thing in English, and then it's easier for you to use it. And then again, it's gonna become natural. It's gonna be part of how you communicate in that language and how it's your personality in that language. So you can show that in the exam after in an easier way. For example, if you are watching a film in English, you're gonna get the vocabulary of the film. Now write down, list all the vocabulary you didn't know, and then you can work on that vocabulary. Also, you're gonna be working with not only listening, because you're listening to the film, but your pronunciation of the words as well, because you can shadow the person, the actor acting, right? The person speaking. so you can work on your pronunciation. Then, if you go to a news portal and you read a news report, you have tons of vocabulary there to work with as well. And you could also start giving your own opinion about the topic and start going above and beyond what's there on the page or on the screen in front of you. If you write a to-do list, a very simple to-do list of everything you have to do in your day, or your supermarket list, a groceries list, you're going to be using loads of specific vocabulary for things that you're actually going to use in your life abroad, and maybe nowadays living in your hometown, you don't actually need it because you do things in another language. So it's a very simple change, and it's already going to show loads of difference in your life later. Also helps you with the spelling of words and the time of writing. The more you write in English, the easier it gets and the faster you can write. And if you're thinking about IELTS test, you have 1 hour to write at least 400 words. So the more you write, you practice the actual writing thing, the faster you can do that writing and the easier it's gonna get to you, which is good for your exam later on. If you're singing, you're practicing your speaking in English, and you're practicing pronunciation and intonation mostly, which are two extremely important things when we're talking about the speaking test of the IELTS exam. So when you immerse yourself, you can benefit a lot from everything that you do. The second mistake that you can make, and you're not going to make it anymore because you're watching this video, when you're studying for the IELTS, it's not having a study routine. That just gives chaos in your life. I just don't know how people do it when they don't have the study routine, because you get lost in the middle of the process. You look at it and you're like, I have to study grammar, but I also don't know how to answer this question, so I have to study how strategies to better answer this test. But I just don't know how to do anything because I have zero balance, structure, organization. And this just gives space for you to get more nervous and feel less prepared to do the exam, which is not what you want. So when you have a study routine, you can balance between having traditional activities and having leisure activities. What would be traditional activities? Doing like mock tests and studying with textbooks and etc. And leisure activities are going to be lighter things that you can do to still get in touch with English, but not necessarily in the same time, spending the amount of time you would while you're studying through traditional activities. So the key here is to balance it out. It has to be balanced. The study routine needs to fit in your life, like the IELTS studying needs to fit in your current life routine and not the other way around. You cannot suffer to include IELTS in your life so you get that done with and then you move. No, you need to, in the way you live today, be able to include it in a way that's not gonna make any damage to how your routine works, but also it's gonna bring benefits so you can study for the exam as well. So for traditional activities, you're gonna have grammar exercises, textbooks, and mock tests. Extremely important when talking about IELTS exam is to have a mock test and to study through that mock test. And then leisure activities would be doing something fun, but actually doing an activity after that, so you can actually develop. So watch a film and write a review of the film. You're not only having fun watching the film, but you're also practicing your writing after. Watch an episode of a series and then record a 2-minute voice note with a review. Why a 2-minute voice note? Because part 2 of your speaking test is a 2-minute speaking task that you have to do. So you can practice that by summarizing an episode of a series in 2 minutes. That helps you when you have to tell a story after for 2 minutes. Fill in the gaps of the lyrics of a song. So you're listening, there are some gaps and you have to complete. That's exactly what you do in a listening test, but it's not a song. So you listen to the audio, you're listening, you're reading the questions and you're writing the answers. So you're listening, reading and writing. When you're doing it with a song, it's fun because it's a song and you're listening, you're reading the lyrics and you're writing to complete the lyrics. So it's the exact same thing you do, but in a nicer way. The third and last mistake we're going to talk about today, it's not having a method to follow when studying and when doing the exam. This makes you feel lost as well during the process because you just have no idea where you're going. You can't seem to progress in that sense stuck. You keep doing everything, but you cannot actually see any progress. Your band score doesn't increase. You feel stuck in that place because you don't know what to do, because you don't know how to do it. And that can be easily fixed if you have a method, because that will guide you through what are the steps that you have to do to solve that question, to solve that test. It will also give you confidence, because you know what you're doing, and then you're getting questions right, and then your band score is increasing, and then it's a whole positive process that you can have, and makes this path to your band score quicker, because you can get there easily because you know what you're doing. And if you follow me, we're going to use the ASVAN method, which is the method that I created, developed, applied, got me to Oxford for my master's, and got many of my students whatever they needed to go, which is really simple. ASVAN, strategy, vocabulary, and naturally. That's all you need. That's all you need to have a good preparation for the exam, and also a good exam day. No, a good test day. So basically, the strategies is understanding how the test works. What is the test? How is the test? How should you answer each type of question? It's not all multiple choice. There are map questions in the listening. There are true, false, not given questions in the reading. What are those? How to best answer them? That's what the strategy is going to give us. How to organize your time. 2 tasks in the writing exam, 1 hour. How do I organize that? 20 minutes for one, 40 minutes for the other one. But what is the order that I should answer them? Test 2 worth double the amount of points as test 1. So I'll answer test 2 first, because if I don't have time to finish test 1, that's going to be better than if I don't have time to finish test 2, because that's worth a lot more. So those things are going to help you see better what you need to do and organize it so you get to your band score. How to study traditional activities, leisure activities, balancing it out. It does not have to be always mock test. That's going to give you too much stress. That's going to make you burn out at some point. You need this balance. You need to make it light during this process, because the IELTS is not your enemy. It's actually your friend for you to get your life abroad that you want so much. For vocabulary, you need to think about the formality of the vocabulary. Yes, it is an exam, but it's not all formal. Did you know that? The speaking test is an actual informal conversation you have with the examiner. So your vocabulary can be a little bit more informal than it is in the writing test, which is formal. More than that, your vocabulary needs to be specific. It's not the most formal one, and it's not the most different vocabulary in the world. It's that vocabulary specific to the thing you're talking about. So if you're talking about your work, an engineer needs to know engineering vocabulary, while a doctor needs to know medicine vocabulary. They don't necessarily need to know all of the same vocabulary. No, it's very specific from what you're talking about, what is the thing you're going on through. And it cannot be memorized. You cannot just go there as a robot and say an entire sentence you memorized over and over again in your room before the exam, because that's just not natural. That's just not how you communicate. The IELTS wants to know if you can communicate and if you can live in 100% English environment. That's what you're going to have when you move to the country you chose. And if you do it as a robot, you're just not doing it, are you? You need to do it in a more natural way, how you actually communicate. So the vocabulary, you're not going to memorize it. If you memorize it, 1, you could get one part of your sentence wrong and get stuck and not say anything else. Or 2, you can memorize something from a theme and another thing it's on your test, so you cannot talk about the other thing because you only know how to memorize and you don't actually know how to communicate and interact. And that's the later is the one that we actually need, interaction and communication. And for that, we need to sound natural. And to be natural, we need to practice. It's not going to be in the blink of an eye that we're going to do it. We actually need to practice so we can showcase how much we know of the language and how easy it is for us to communicate in that language. And show as well, as natural as it is, it's going to show how confident you are as well in speaking that language. And again, it's not something as the IELTS is the villain in your story, because it's the test that's going to prove for people that want to hire you or for the university you're going to, that you actually can and you are able to live and do all the tasks they want you to do in your life abroad. It's not like your English life is going to end with IELTS. It's just going to prove that you are capable of doing what you want to do, which is your big dream, which is your goal with the IELTS and with the band score. So it's really not that horrible to do the IELTS itself. Okay, so let's review what were the 3 biggest mistakes when studying for IELTS. It's translating, no translation. Let's do the entire thought and the entire process in English. That's why this video is entirely in English as well, so you can start doing that already. Not having a routine. We do need a routine. We need to organize. We need to balance this routine so we are not burnt out, so we're not overstressed. And not having a method. We do need a method to make life easier, to make this preparation quicker, so you can get your band score and move on with your life and move abroad to the country of your choice. Okay? If you have any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll answer them. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Follow me on Instagram at IELTS with Gaby. So we talk and see each other every single day. Okay? Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.